Hey, it's Mike over at fishyourassoff.com, and today what we're talking about is flounder fishing with gulp shrimp. It could be anything though. It could be the gulp swimming mullet, because if you ask me, those work as well, maybe even a little bit better. But gulp products, and the reason these gulp products, and let me show you one. The reason they work so well is all of the odor that they put out. If you've ever fished with these things and smell your finger, you're like, oh, what is that? That's what fish like, I guess, because it is the nastiest, stinkingest stuff you've ever, you don't want it. But fish love it. You know, these gulp shrimp and gulp swimming mullet, you'll catch snook, redfish, speckled trout, flounder, tarpon, what else do you want to catch? You catch all that stuff. You know, you catch pompano with them. You catch whiting with them. You can catch black drum with them. So everything eats these things. So I'm going to show you, well, I guess I don't have shrimp, but I'm going to show you the packaging and the colors that you're going to want. So here's a gulp swimming mullet, right? I get the white ones, and the same with the gulp shrimp. I get the white ones, but this is what the packaging looks like. You know, right on the back of it, it says it's 400 times the scent of, normal, regular bait. So this is 400 times stinkier than if you had a shrimp on there. But here's one of the colors I like the best, white. You would also get New Penny is another one. Molting is another one. A lot of people use a lot of different colors. Root beer is another great color if the water is dark and murky. And then I just couple it with an 1/8 ounce jig head. And that's what I would do if I were you trying to catch some flounder. These gulps are just the best. They just outfish all these other ones. I'm not sponsored by Gulp or Berkeley or whatever. I'm not sponsored by them. I just use them because they work. And they work better than all these other lures. You know, the only thing that even comes close to outfishing that would be a bucktail jig, and it doesn't. I mean, it's definitely a distant second, but a bucktail jig like this with a little piece of shrimp, so tip it with a piece of shrimp, is another excellent flounder lure combo that you would use. But let me just show you how to do these. All right, first of all, the mistake that flounder fishermen make is they fish too fast. You cannot fish too slowly. There's no such thing as fishing too slowly for flounder. You just can't do it. So you cast out and say you were fishing for a redfish or a snook with a jig. Well, your retrieve might be something like this. All right, so about that speed. Flounder. Cast out. Much slower. You're basically dragging the lure on the bottom. So here's your gulp shrimp. You cast it out. You just kind of bounce it. Now another thing. Your strike zone for a flounder is probably 12 to maybe 18 inches. You don't want to have your lure presented anywhere above that in the water column. You don't. Remember, a flounder is a fish that kind of buries in the mud, facing into the current or the sand or the gravel, wherever it is, facing into the current, waiting for a shrimp or a crab or a fish to come its way, and then it pounces on it, right? So anything above that is basically out of the strike zone. I mean, you might get a super hungry one to swim up a little further, but I doubt it. Keep your lure within 12 inches of the bottom. That's your best bet. Whatever you're fishing with. I don't care what you're fishing with for flounder. Keep it in that 12 inches. That's the strike zone. So, like I said, there's plenty of scent in these gulps, but if you can't find any gulps and you want to use a bucktail jig, add scent to it. You can add Procure is another. It's a gross gelatinous stuff that stinks to high heaven too, that you can put right on a lure. and that'll increase your hookups too. But when you're fishing with these gulps, you might have to increase the weight based on the current and the water depth. Okay, so what I was showing you here is an 1/8 ounce. Well, that might not cut it. You might have to go up to 1/4, a 1/2 ounce, even 3/4 of an ounce. You know, if you're fishing like an inlet or something like that where there's a lot of current. So you have to get your gulp shrimp down to the bottom, or your gulp swimming mullet down to the bottom, or you're not going to catch any flounder. You're just not. Another way to use a gulp shrimp for flounder, and this works great too, is a popping cork. Okay, this is your basic popping cork. It's got a bullet weight on the bottom, and then these beads, and it's supposed to make noise like this. All right, here's another one, very basic. It's got rattles in it. See, the rattle's already in it. Okay, and this just attracts the fish. It puts out those low frequency vibrations that just attract predatory fish. I guess it sounds like a fish swimming or in distress, or a shrimp swimming or in distress. So all you're gonna do with this, and let's pretend like this right here, this is just a fake shrimp. These work great for flounder too, right here. So you have your popping cork, your bob or whatever, and it's tied to your shrimp like this, right? And you just have this set up for the right water depth to keep this thing just off of the bottom, okay? So you're gonna cast your popping cork with your gulp shrimp up current, and just kind of pop, just make sure it moves right off the bottom. So you have, the way you tell is you start long with it, you know, longer type leader, and just shorten it. So, because you cast out your long one, oh, I keep getting hooked on oysters or grass or whatever. Well, you need to shorten it a smidge, but you want to just have it just short enough where it's just above the bottom. So, because just like they want with when you're just using a straight jig, you want it just above the bottom. In this case, it'd be just above the bottom here. And that flounder is going to be sitting there facing into the current. This is an excellent combination. I'm telling you what, right here will catch you so many flounder. Right here. Either this way or just with a straight jig is the way you want to fish for these things with the gulp shrimp or the gulp swimming mullet. I'm telling you, all these places you're going to find these flounder. You're going to find them in inlets. You're going to find them around the dock pilings, oyster bars, up in the mangroves. Don't forget the mangroves. Pitch it right up to the mangroves, and you can just dead stick it. So you can just shoot it up there and let it sit. It smells so much that they'll, oh, that smells good. You're not even moving the thing, and they will pick it up, and you can catch them. You can literally dead stick this just like you would if it was a chunk of bait, you know, like a cut bait or a dead bait. You can dead stick this. Oyster bars, mangroves, mud flat cuts, tidal creeks. So when you're fishing these mud flat cuts, these oyster bars, the thing, you're casting up current and you're just bouncing it on back to you about roughly the speed of the current. So you do it and you're just moving it. You're basically just taking the slack out of it. If the current's actually tumbling it for you, you're just barely moving this thing. Like I said, dragging it. You can't fish too slowly. You just can't for flounder. It's just impossible. Grass flats. If you're out there on the grass flats, target those sandy potholes. You know, if you've been out on grass flats, there's always these sandy potholes. Well, their flounder will bury themselves right in there, facing into the current in the sand, waiting for something to come off of that, grass flat. A crab, a shrimp, a little fish, to come off there, they're gonna slam it. So if you're fishing the grass flats, target those sandy spots for flounder. Or right where the grass flat ends, you know, grass flats eventually end, and they end in usually some sandy place or some channel or some muddy place, target right on the edge of the grass flat for these flounder. And you just can't go wrong with either a Gulp shrimp or these Gulp swimming mullet. I'm telling you. You will catch a lot of flounder if you do that. There's more of this information right on our website. Just go to www.fishyourassoff.com. We have videos like this, articles, everything you want to know about inshore fishing is right there. But that's it for today. So until next time, we'll see you then. All right. Bye-bye.